Let's switch our gears now to focus on Cameroon as the country stands at a delicate point in its history as the country awaits official results from a highly consequential presidential election. After more than 4 decades under President Paul Biya's rule, this year's polls carry hopes of change, but also fears of familiar endings. Reports from across Yaoundé and Douala and the troubled Anglophone regions show a mix of determination and distrust. Late ballot deliveries, restricted access for opposition agents, and visible military presence around certain polling stations. In many communities, this election was less about a celebration and more about survival.
So joining us, Fabrice Lena, campaign manager for the Ateki 2025 ABA coalition, one of the coalitions challenging the old order and calling for a new national direction. Let's hear what he's witnessed and what future he believes Cameroon might find after this. Fabrice, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Would like to know what you've observed so far. It's been a week since and we're still waiting. How would you describe the voting process across key regions and what's happened since after then with the wait for the announcement of the results?
Hello, good morning, News Central. Good morning to the great journalists, our neighbors, friends. It's a mixed feeling here in Cameroon, here in the political capital Yaoundé, where I find myself. Mixed feeling of distrust, fear, and suspicion, which is characterized by massive fraud, rigging of the electoral process because of the huge gap between the day of the poll and the final day of proclamation of results. So this is the kind of situation that breeds, the feeling of lack of transparency. And this is from history. 1992, 2018 had similar situations where opposition won. And at the end of the day, the incumbent is declared winner. And it appears that we are heading to the same direction again. After the local polling commissions compiled results and they have been transferred to the divisional polling commissions, what they call département, it's already clear in so many areas around the country that in some places the numbers have been added, like in the troubled English-speaking regions where there is complete rejection of President Paul Biya. We are instead seeing the paradox of result showing him winning by up to 70% in the region of Northwest and in the regions of Southwest of Cameroon. This is a fraud mechanism because the northern part, which is the place of the current opposition leader, Issa Chiroma Bakari, voted massively for him, but the gap of win is being reduced so much such that they could use the other parts of the country to cover up. And right now, we are being told by some unofficial results that President Paul Biya is ahead of Issa Chiroma by about 200 to 300,000 votes. And this is completely false. This is not what we saw on the field, especially what I saw on the field, because being in Yaoundé 6 subdivision, during the day of the poll, I went around visiting polling stations, and in about 115 polling stations, Issa Chiroma Bakari was leading by a wide margin. That's what I observed on the field firsthand by tallies on board. But since our collation process, it's so bureaucratic with a lot of opaque process, it's led to what we are observing today. Cameroon risks going down to the process of post-electoral violence again, like in 2018 and as usual. And this is what is unfortunate. And at this point in time, we call on African Union and countries that to talk to Cameroon, to talk to the government, to concede defeat, because this is a clear win. The election of 2025 is a referendum between stagnation and change. And the youth, the Gen Z, those who are first voters, voted massively for change. And apparently, Cameroon has tried to once more change the results again. It appears that our government is only organizing phony elections to perpetuate continuous stay in power.
I do have to ask whether or not, because your observations is pointing outright rigging by the ELICAM as well as Paul Biya's camp. And so it begs to ask the question about the international observers. Have they put out a statement? Does it align with your observations from the coalition, or is it different?
It's international. We've not got any credible international observation made a public statement to the elections in Cameroon. Perhaps I've not come across one, but we've had some kind of here and there declarations by individual observers that were accredited. But what you should know is that in Cameroon, it is the Ministry of Territorial Administration, what they call in Cameroon MINAT, in most countries, Minister of Interior, that gives accreditation to international observers and even local observers. And they choose to whom they give these accreditation of observation. In past elections, they have given accreditation to fake observers, people whose profile and portfolio were verified to be fake, and if you read the news about Cameroon elections, you will find out that several times President Paul Biya paid for his own international observers to give and validate the results the way they want it to go. And it appears 2025 is the same scenario.
Yeah, but we understand, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't the AU send an observation team?
African Union, they did send an observation team. I mean, the first statement of the African Union, from what I read somewhere online, was that the elections, the polls of Sunday 12th were in serenity, in calm, and no major incidents. So we Cameroonians want to ask ourselves, okay, was it because at the beginning of the poll on Sunday 12th, yes, this was the situation. There were no major incidents. Nothing happened like clash but towards the end of the day, because counting starts taking place from 6 p.m. 00 Yaoundé time. And from that very moment, we started getting reports at our situation rooms of, stuffing of ballot, people who were adding figures, people who were given money in order to change what they call return reports, PV in Cameroon, procès-verbaux. And all these were things observed clearly with evidence in different situation rooms for our coalition, as well as those of other political parties of the opposition. We wonder how AU will be giving us the report of saying everything went well. Until now, we are expecting them by the different evidence and reports we've given, made by journalists, independent journalists, as well as reporters of political parties and communication team, campaign managers of political parties put it out there. We're expecting AU maybe to come out with another statement again to confirm to what we are saying or say otherwise. But this also makes us to question the integrity of the African Union, indeed, and perhaps ask if other countries that fall into the hands of juntas are not correct to judge AU as a toothless bulldog or people who do not have integrity at all.
What does this mean for Cameroon? If, as we wait for the elections, we have counted down to 1 week, that means by Friday there should be an official announcement from ELICAM. If it doesn't sway in the way that the people hope, what would it mean for the future?
Yeah, this means a lot. It means uncertainty about the approaching future. It means post-electoral violence. We are preaching non-violence anyway, but we are asking the people that we cannot allow our voices to be stolen once more. We have the luxury of participating in election in Cameroon after 7 years. 7 years is a lot. 7 years is quite a long time to wait in order to vote for a leader. And we cannot, in the series of 7 years, be voting for the same person who do not allow for, by the process they organize themselves, for change to come. So Cameroonians are at the lasting limit of patience, and this is expressed, every day, everywhere. If you read the news in some of the major towns, in Limbe, in Chang, in Bamenda, Douala, that was the start of this week, you will hear or get the report that some protests took place, and even the building of the party in power was burnt in near the University of Chang in West Region of Cameroon, where the university administrators organized what was called organized rigging of the electoral process there. They did not imagine that the opposition could score such high numbers there, and the guys organized rigging by completely changing the return reports there. So this angered the population to burn the house of the party in power, and also attempted burning the house of the university rector there, who was one of the persons concerned. This is indicative already of what will happen if the result is not in favor of the people's will. In the northern region of Garoua, where the major political leader Issa Chiroma Bakari is, it's quite a tension there, with heavy presence of military, including the army, gendarmerie, and police, all present in this northern region of Garoua, where the major opposition leader Issa Chiroma Bakari is right now. And this already tells you what will happen if the result is not in his favor. He himself has said this election is not like any other in history, and the people shall not, for anything, allow their will to be stolen again.
All right. Fabrice, I want to say thank you for taking out the time to join us. I wish we could continue, but we are pressed for time. We will definitely have you in subsequent bulletins, as well as on the news too, for more updates and to share your observations. Many thanks once again.